Sometimes the parts you get just don't fit. And today, for a special treat, you might just get a rant from me. Well, without any further ado, let's get to the teardown. Okay, so this was not meant to be a video in the first place, but after getting the wrong part, or the right part but the wrong size of part, I decided to make a quick video here. This is a Singer 241-13. It's a very nice industrial machine. This is the kind that sits in a oil sump, and there's a pump, and it pumps up oil throughout this machine. And it's very important when you have a machine like this that you have seals on all your covers. So this one came with this cover. It wasn't attached. The seal was, the gasket was half gone, and there were no screws. So I was able to order the new screws. And I ordered them from a company that I've only used a couple times before. I'm not going to mention their name. I don't think that they did anything wrong in this scenario, but we're going to talk about this. So 2 screws, that's all we got to remove for our teardown. So teardown is complete. What this is this cover is how you adjust your stitch length. So you're going to push on this button and it'll index, and then you move the wheel to adjust your stitch length. And I believe that there's markings on here to help you out of where you need to be. So, and then this little arrow right here points to where you should go, where your stitch is set to. So I ordered a new gasket for this. I ordered these screws as well. The screws came in and they work perfect. So I got this gasket, and it did not come broken, so that's the first thing. It was intact at one point. So if you want to know who's at fault for the breaking of the gasket, well, you're looking at him right now, so that was me. So this gasket, and if you look at it, it looks perfect, right? This is the right gasket to fit right there if it's in one piece. I wonder if I should tape that or just leave it. Anyway, the problem happens when you put the gasket on here. So I've lined up this hole right here. Let's bring you in a little closer. So I've lined up this hole right here, and you can already see that the sides are a little bit in too close together. And then if I line this one up with the hole here, you'll see that there's a huge gap. That's considerable. So that's a considerable gap right there on both sides, which means that this is not going to fit. And there's another issue here, and how I broke this was trying to place the gasket on the other side. So this is to show you there's probably a good 1/2 inch there, maybe 1.5 centimeters or so, centimeter, somewhere in that range where we're not right. Because if this was touching here, you see it has to come in significant distance, and you've got all the space out here that's not covered by a gasket. So now we've got the cover. So this is the cover, and we've got it down on our table, and this is how I broke the gasket, was trying to put it on here, because the cover has a lip going around it. If you can see that lip, where this lip goes inside the top of the machine to form that seal, to help seal it off. And so when you look at your gasket, the shape looks right, but the size is not right. So it doesn't want to come over here. So now we're splaying out on the side. See, it's kind of rolling up as well. And then if I put this piece over here, again, we've got that same distance right there apart. So this thing was like this, and I was trying my hardest to get it to fit, because it felt like, it kind of looks like, well, maybe I can just get it over there, and that distance right there is too far. You can also see, or at least I can feel it, this arc is not the same size here. So what's going on? What's the deal? Well, I talked to the seller, and their company orders these directly from Singer, and they said that they've never had a problem with Singer parts before, that they always fit. And that's why he was really they were really confused, and I sent them pictures, and it took a while to convince that, hey, yes, actually this part is the wrong size. Even though the part number is correct, I even have the bag with the part number here, which is the correct part number for this machine. It's just that this thing is about a ½ inch too small, and it's small in every proportion, so it's just been shrunken down a little bit. So here comes the rant. Singer is not its own company anymore. They were sold many, many, many years ago. And then they have been sold subsequently many, many times. In fact, if you talk to some of the old people that used to work for Singer, they know that the old drawings and things that they used to have, all that stuff's gone. So whatever you can find on the internet is more than what Singer themselves have on these older machines. So Singer gets bought and sold fairly frequently, like every, I don't know, 5 to 10 years they get bought and sold. And what this is you have these investment companies. They don't know anything about sewing. They don't know anything about machinery. They're investment companies that are buying up businesses, reducing costs, making it look better on paper, so they make a better profit because they're cost reducing all their parts and everything. So everything's getting made overseas. They find another factory that can do it a little bit cheaper, and they continue to do this every 5 to 10 years. And what ends up happening to us is the quality of the materials we get goes down. What happens to the company is their profits go up, and so it looks better on paper, so then they can turn around and sell the company, a well-known name, for many, many years, for over 100 years. This name, everybody knows Singer. So investors want to buy that name because it's got a history behind it. But what they're doing is they're tarnishing that history with giving us parts like this. So they have cost reduced this so much that they've shipped it out to a different, manufacturer of gasket materials. And I don't know how you shrink a gasket size unless they just took a picture of one and said, here, I need this gasket, without proper measurements. So here we are. I bought this from my customer. I thought I would have this machine done yesterday, and this happened. So what I ended up doing after talking to the company, they're making good on their side, so they're refunding my money. I don't know if they're going to talk to Singer. I don't know if Singer's ever going to know about this issue. But this company refunded me for this, and I told them I don't want another one because it'll be the same thing. And so today we're going to do a little arts and crafts. I was able to overnight from Amazon some cork material, gasket material, and we're going to make our own. That's something new for me. So rant's over. If you're done watching the video, you can go if you want. I'm going to talk a little bit more about my personal business and what I want to do to solve these problems that are going on in the world with the lack of parts or improper parts being sold. So second half of the video here, we're going to talk about my business. I'm going to start out, and like I said, I don't know what I'm doing here, so this is kind of my first. I don't even know if this is the right tool. I'm going to cut out an approximation, and then I'm going to put it up on the machine and cut the outside of it and see where we go from there. We might actually be able to cut the whole thing on the machine. So let's give that a try. All right, let's talk about my business. Y'all, I don't talk about what I sell all the time. I mean, I do from time to time. A lot of times you'll see me bring out my plastic. A lot of times you'll see me bring out my plastic pry tools, and I'll say, oh, you can get these on sewingmachinerepairguy.com. So yeah, but I don't talk about the overall purpose of my business and why I sell these things. because I believe it's important to have a mission and to stick to that mission. I could say that my mission is just to make money, but that's not really the full mission. Sure, I need to make money. I have a family. I've got kids that are getting ready to go to college. So it's important to me to have income. But that's not the purpose of this business. This business kind of just fell into my lap as I was solving problems. It started out with the Designer SE sewing machine, and I started selling capacitor repair kits on eBay many years ago. And let's see. All right, I'm gonna go get a tool. I'll be right back. So where was I? So I was selling those on eBay, and then those kits, and it was solving problems, and I liked that. I enjoyed that because I was helping a lot of people get this Designer SE sewing machine back in the back to doing its job, right? Back to working. So I was measuring that, and I was using millimeters, and I was like, that's a really weird number. And then I realized, no, Singer didn't use millimeters. Singer used inches, so we're exactly 4.6 inches between the holes. Oh, I'm giving away all the secrets. Okay, so we want it to be in the middle. Let's see if a pencil shows up on here. Enough. I'm never going to get the story out. So So after some time, I decided I want to try and make some products that don't exist anywhere else in the world. So that's one of the big things for my business, is making products you can't find anywhere else. And that way, if someone copies me, then I did a great job. But the big thing is, I don't want to compete with people or other businesses. So look at that, 2 perfect holes. Since I don't want to compete with anybody, I want to create something that doesn't exist, or that you can't find anymore, right? That did exist and you just can't get it anymore. So that's kind of what I do with my business. And if I see products like that I can get manufactured, or I can manufacture myself, then that's what I'm going to do. And I've talked about it a few times on my last couple of videos that, hey, I need to start producing this thing. And that's the goal that I have with my business. That I want to solve people's problems by creating parts that you can't find anymore, or that just don't exist. So I went and expanded to the bobbin winder tires. So in that case, for those, I have, you go on Amazon, you search for bobbin winder tire, and you're going to see a million different things. But what you won't see is any color other than black. And I thought, if I have a vintage sewing machine and I can jazz it up a little bit, but not damage the machine in any way, so it's completely original, but I just put a bobbin winder tire on there that's a different color, I think that there would be demand for that. So I did that. I worked with a company overseas, and we got those produced. I don't know if I'm doing this the right way, but we're gonna see. And so those have been doing pretty well on my website, and actually I was selling them on Etsy at first, and Etsy has been great. A couple of hiccups with Etsy, and they have ads that you can purchase ads through them, so that they will they'll show ads to people that are searching for similar items or whatever. And that's not bad. There's a screw that I had produced, and that was actually, I found a company in the United States to do that. It's for the Singer. I think it's a 301 a bite screw. That was another thing that nobody could find. And I've asked about these things on Facebook, on some of the groups that are on there, and a lot of people don't know who I am, which is handy. But I've asked, and if you have any ideas of parts that fill in or fall into that description, let me know, because I'm always looking for something new to add, because each thing that I add to the shop is like another thing that's helping me get discovered. Then I started selling on my own website this year. I started that this year, and that has been amazing for me. It's actually improved my reach quite a bit, and also I make a little bit more out of each sale than I do on Etsy by using my own website, which is nice. So when I see a problem like this, now what goes through my mind is, okay, if this is a problem, I'd like to solve it for everybody and not just my one customer. So then I think, okay, well, what do you have to do in order to mass produce these? Right? I need a picture. I need to know what the item looks like. I need to know exact dimensions. And then I need some sort of cutter, either laser cutter or some other sort of cutter that will turn these out by the hundreds, possibly. So here's the other part I'm going to talk about my business, is that each time I want to add one item, I try to stay down in the $1,000 to $2,000 range to add one item. So you'll notice that I slowly add items, because it's so expensive just to add one thing to your portfolio, because there's a lot of research and development that goes into it. There's new equipment that you need in order to produce the item. So I'll give you an example. Right now I'm working on a gear for some Japanese sewing machines. And this gear hasn't been produced for years. It's still on some websites, but it says sold out at every website that it's on. And this gear, it's like a little cam and a gear that runs on a zigzag. And I've got a video upcoming about it, so I'm not going to tell you everything. But what I am telling you is that is an ugly gasket. But it's going to get the job done. That's why you need an automatic cutter to do these things, not me with a little, using the thing as a jigsaw. So I'm going to clean this out and blow it out with air and everything to get all the pieces out of there. But what I want to do now is see if this worked. So yeah, it costs a lot of money to produce your own parts. Okay, so we're a little bit narrow, we're a little bit too small. We need to cut a little bit more material away from here. How are we looking over here? Yep, we need a little bit more over here. Now be careful because this material is very thin and it's cork, so it likes to rip. This is softer than the one that I had before as well. So that project includes 3D printing, and it includes, I bought a 3D printer, a very professional grade 3D printer that has the ability to use engineering resins that will make parts that are strong, very strong. And in fact, you wouldn't even know if you looked at these parts. Ideally, you wouldn't even know that they're 3D printed because they look like they're injection molded. They look so good. So, working on a video for that. And you thought this video would just be about cutting a gasket. But if I can make one gear with a 3D printer, what else can I make with a 3D printer? You know, I don't know. And I got to do testing to make sure that the gear is strong enough to last. Well, the first gear I tested for 2 hours. So I ran a machine for 2 hours with this gear installed. And it worked very well. Alright, so there's one hole. Let's get this other side. Ah. So I'm trying to save vintage sewing machines is what I'm trying to do. I want people to be able to keep these things around because a lot of times they're built very robust and then there's this one weak part that could take down the whole machine, and that's not good, you know? So the video I did last week about the LED light, so I'm gonna produce those and put them on my website. That's going to take a lot of labor. Those are very laborious tasks. So I ordered the wire. I just got all the wire in. I've already got the connectors and I've already got the lights, so it's ready to go. All right, this is not a perfect gasket, but what it is a gasket that will keep oil out. So we are going to go with that. I might trim the side a little bit. Yeah, I'm not real happy with this gasket, but it's better than what we got before. So let's try this. The holes line up. 4.6 inches. What I'm testing now is that this thing seats down and I don't need a 2-layer gasket or a thicker gasket. So I want to make sure that this actually seals all the way around and will keep the oil from spraying up at whoever's using it. That feels good. I can feel the compression of the gasket. That feels really good. I don't know how well, this pencil is not showing up very well, but I don't want to use something else. So, if you're curious about those parts I'm talking about, the various things I sell, you can check sewingmachinerepairguy.com. Like I said, I started selling on that website at the beginning of this year, and it actually more than doubled my gross income from sales just by having now I have Etsy and my own personal website. But you're only going to see me talking about my website because, like I said, Etsy, it's great to get started. There is a there are people that they only buy on Etsy, or they find me on Etsy, and that's great because that's a group of people that I wouldn't get normally. So but the rest, Google should send them to my when people are searching on Google, they should send them to my website first. Okay. Here's some examples of what I've been working on with the 3D printing. Is some of these gears of different types, and I chose one in particular to work on first, and then once we get that working, then we'll move on to others. So I thought this was going to be a quick video with a quick little rant in the middle, and I've been talking for 33 minutes. I know this video is going to be shorter than that, but I'll cut out a bunch of this stuff so that you won't have to sit through everything. But thanks for watching, and thanks for enduring me for a little bit of a rant, and I really appreciate you. Have a great day.